An organic substance known as an alkane solely contains hydrogen and carbon atoms, which are formed in a straight or branched chain. The primary element of natural gas called methane, is the most basic example of an alkane. Pentane, butane, propane, and ethane are some further examples. Alkanes are also known as saturated hydrocarbons since all of the carbon-carbon bonds are single bonds that are saturated with hydrogen atoms. In other words, the hydrocarbon is lacking a pi bond. The International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, or called as IUPAC, has produced a systematic set of guidelines for alkane nomenclature. The total number of carbon atoms in an alkane's chain determines its name. So, the lesson for today is to determine the naming of alkane. The steps for naming an alkane are as follows. Find the longest continuous chain of carbon atoms in the molecule. This chain is called the parent chain. If there is a competition between two chains of equal length, then choose the chain with the greater number of substituents. Here is an example. It has 9 carbon atoms in the parent chain. The name of the parent chain of compound is naming based on the names given. Number the carbon atoms in the parent chain, starting with the end closest to a substituent or branch. Name the substituents or branches attached to the parent chain. A substituent is a group of atoms that replaces a hydrogen atom on the parent chain. Use prefixes to indicate the number of each substituent. The prefixes are based on the number of carbon atoms in the substituent. For example, methyl for 1 carbon, ethyl for 2 carbons, propyl for 3 carbons, and so on. These groups are also called as alkyl groups. The ring is commonly acts as parent chain when an alkyl group is connected to a ring. But it is generally make naming the ring as substituent or known as cycloalkyl group when the ring has fewer atoms than the rest of the structure. For example, cyclopropylbutane. How to naming the complex substituent. Here are examples of alkyl group bearing 3, 4, and 5 carbon atoms that can be branched in different ways. Next is arrange the substituent names in alphabetical order and assign a number to each substituent according to its position on the parent chain. First, assign the lowest possible number if one substituent is present. What is locant? Locant is the location of methyl group attached to the parent chain. Second, assign the numbers so that first substituent is set the lower number if more than one substituent are present. Third, second locant is set as low as possible if there is a tie present. Then, set the lowest number alphabetically if the previous rule does not break the tie. Lastly, use prefix when substituent appears more than once. The final step in naming of alkane is combine the names of the substituents with the name of the parent chain. Use hyphens to separate the numbers and names, commas to separate the numbers and numbers. For examples, 2,3-dimethylheptane and 3-ethyl 2,4-dimethylhexane.